Hey everyone, Jedi64 here, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about why I personally love the sequel trilogy. I know, this video is going to be divisive, so then again, we're talking about a very divisive trilogy, so that's to be expected. Anyway, this is going to be a two-part video. I'm going to start with The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, and then in part 2 I will talk about The Rise of Skywalker. So, let's get started. I have to say, I feel like people really misunderstand what the First Order is. Like, First Order is literally just the Empire. Like, the Empire was never defeated. Like, the Imperial Remnant just goes into hiding and then eventually just becomes the First Order. Like, they go into hiding, they reforge in the First Order, they build Starkiller Base, and then, yeah, because, like, I really like the Stormtroopers. Like, I feel like their designs are really cool, and, like, I love the idea that they're all kidnapped children that are basically born into the First Order, basically brainwashed. Because like it makes the army feel more unique than just a clone army or like recruiting. Because it kind of makes it stand out from like the Republic or the Empire. So I think that's cool. Like I like the First Order. Like I feel like the First Order is like really underrated. All right, let's talk about Jakku. A lot of people say this movie has a lot of similarities to A New Hope, and I do have to agree with that. But it feels different enough where it just feels like it's its own story. I love the planets. Like I feel like Takodana is like. I mean, it feels like it's a forest planet, but it feels unique because it has like a cool like location, like Maz's castle. Then like Jakku is like, in my opinion, a cool planet because like it's just a desert planet, but like what makes it cool is like the history that it has. Because Jakku was where the Imperial Remnant was defeated by the New Republic, or was it the Rebellion? I don't really know that much like about the battle, but I know it's where like the war between the Rebellion and the Empire ended. So I think that's like really cool in my opinion. I love the music in this trilogy. Like I feel like it has great music, especially in like The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi especially. I love Rey's theme. Like I feel like Rey's theme is just absolutely beautiful. Like it's one of my favorite themes of the trilogy. Yeah. So that's like one of my favorite like musical soundtracks from the trilogy. Let's talk about the returning characters in this movie. We see Han, Leia, Chewie, C-3PO, and R2-D2 and Luke return. I'll talk about Luke in The Last Jedi, but let's start with Han. I love Han and Leia's relationship in this movie because, like, it's obvious that it's been kind of put on us, like, it's been strained ever since Ben Solo's fall to the dark side, which makes sense. Like, that would mess up a relationship like that happening. We see Han go back to being a smuggler, and we see Leia starting to form the Resistance after her son falls to the dark side. Because the Resistance is cool because Leia could tell that like the New Republic was not taking the threat of the First Order seriously enough, and we see this in like the Ahsoka series and like Star Wars Resistance. So she basically forms the Resistance. That way, if the First Order does become an actual threat, it won't be too late. But as we see, it is too late as they destroy the New Republic with a Starkiller base. So I feel like the Resistance is like a cool concept, like the First Order. Definitely another underrated element from the movie. I love Han and like Rey's relationship in this movie because like I feel like Han kind of just becomes the father figure that Rey never has or never had, and I just feel like they have great chemistry and like I wish we got to see more of that, but I feel like what we got was really great. I love BB-8. Like I feel like he was there for merchandising, but I feel like he just is kind of like a cool droid. Cause like I don't know, I just like new droids, so like I'm happy they introduced BB-8. He was cool. I love Maz Kanata. She feels like a very Star Warsy character. She's like been around for years, and like I mentioned this in my Skeleton Crew review, but I really am hoping that she shows up in that show because that'd be really cool. I want to know like how she got Luke's lightsaber because like in the comics like Luke tried to go back for his lightsaber but never found it. So I want to know how she got it. I wish that was explained more, but it's cool that like the saber is in all three trilogies. Like it's just really cool. I love the CGI in this movie. Like I love when the X-wings fly in over the water and like attack the TIE fighters. Like it's really good in my opinion. I love all the stuff with Rey and Kylo in this movie. Like I love when like he captures Rey in the forest and like he like looks into her mind because like that force ability was like introduced into this movie, and like it's been like a very cool force ability ever since. Like we've seen Darth Maul use it in the Clone Wars, we've seen Reva, all sorts of force users use it, even Master Soul and like the Acolyte. Yeah, so I love when Finn uses the lightsaber and fights that one stormtrooper. Like I feel like it was kind of foreshadowing him becoming a Jedi, which we haven't seen, but I imagine in like their new trilogy that they're gonna make, like he'll most likely become a Jedi. Because like in the Rise of Skywalker, we see him. It's revealed that he's Force sensitive, so it'll be cool to see how that pans out in like the future trilogy, if that does come out, because it could get canceled. Another thing that I love in this movie is like Han and Leia's relationship, because like I just feel like it's just very beautiful. Like their relationship has been strained ever since Ben's fall of the dark side, and they gave and then and bleh, I can't talk. Yeah, they like gave each other space after Ben fell to the dark side, but they still love each other very much. So like when we see them together, it's like that like chemistry never left. So and it makes the next scene even more heartbreaking. We see our characters head to Starkiller Base and they blow up the reactor, but before that, Han tries to reach out to his son to try to bring him back to the light side, but in the end, Ben just ends up killing his father. And like, what I love about the scene is like the way it's shot. Like, we see Ben. Like, Ben is very tempted to go with his father to leave the dark side behind in this scene. But as the sun gets drained and like the shadow just kind of falls over him, we see him like fully give in to the dark side and kill his father. And like we see in the next two movies how much that just absolutely wrecked him because he regrets killing his father so much. And it's just so heartbreaking the way Han like touches his son's face right before he falls to his death. Like this is in my opinion the best scene of the movie because it's just there's just so much emotion going on in this scene, and I just love it. Like it's just so good. After that, we head to the fight in the forest, and like I like how Chewie wounded Kylo because it basically makes it where like the fight is a little more even. Because Rey and Finn have never had any training, so the idea that they would defeat him when he's not injured probably wouldn't happen. So I like how the fight is pretty even, and like it's really cool because like the forest is like they built the whole forest. Like the whole forest is a set. All the snow, like all of that is just one big set that they built, and that's just mind blowing to me how they built all that. I love the way the sabers glow in the dark. Like I feel like this was like the first time I think in like the franchise they had like lightsabers that can glow to reflect off of like the actors' faces. So like I feel like this that makes this like fight even cooler. Cause like I love how the planet starts to fall apart and like just crumble as they're fighting. Like it's just so cool. After that scene, we see R2 wake up and he basically has the rest of the map. And Rey, Chewie, and R2 head to Octu to find Luke. And Octu is an interesting planet because like I think it's like supposed to be like the first Jedi temple. Like there's not a temple on the island, but the temple itself is the island. And like Luke basically came here to get away from everything after shit went down. Yeah, so the movie ends with Rey handing the lightsaber to Luke, or at least trying to, but he just kind of stands there, and then the movie ends. I feel like it was a very cool ending to me as a kid, like when I was younger watching like this movie for the first time. And it's funny because if you really think about it, Mark Hamill got paid for almost doing nothing, just standing there. But yeah, it was really cool. All right, time to talk about oh boy, Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I personally think this movie is underrated as hell. This movie is underrated, man. But it is also a very divisive Star Wars movie. You either love it or you hate it. There's a lot of plot points in this movie, so I'm going to go through them individually. So I'm going to start with Poe's story. Basically, in the first movie, Poe was like a hotshot pilot, and in this movie, he's a hotshot pilot, but he has to learn how to become a leader. I like how they gave him like some bit of character development, making him feel more like a character. Not that he wasn't a character in the first movie; they just give him more to do in this film. Like we see him mess up with the dreadnought. Though if you really think about it, if he hadn't destroyed that dreadnought, the Resistance would have died later on in the movie, much earlier. But he still got a lot of like pilots killed, and like I love how we see Rose's sister like give her life for the Resistance. Like I feel like that was a really cool moment. Like there's a lot of tension in that scene. Like I really enjoy it. I like how Leia kind of like demotes Poe, and like eventually he like tries to mutiny against like Holdo's leadership, and we see how that just kind of backfires instantly, and like he eventually realizes like, yeah, I have a lot to learn about being a leader, and I just feel like his story was really well done, and like I know Holdo should have like told Poe her plan, but like that's kind of what like the leadership role is. Like you can't be telling the plan to everyone. Like that's what the chain of command is for. I feel like the I really like the hyperspace ramming scene just because like there's so much going on. Like Anakin's lightsaber is about to get ripped in half. Finn and Rose are about to be executed, and then just wham! It just goes right through all the ships. This was a divisive scene for a lot of people because they feel like it breaks the lore, but it really doesn't because like hyperspace is dangerous, man. You could fly into a star or crash into a supernova, and that would end the trip real quick, farm boy. And I have to say, this was like a very desperate move from Holdo because like I feel like this didn't just kill a bunch of the First Order ships. I feel like this might have hurt like a bunch of other planets across the galaxy because like hyperspace disasters are a thing in the Star Wars universe, which means like the shrapnel must have like hit other planets, causing much like a lot of devastating damage. So this scene is pretty dark if you really think about it. Anyway, so I like Poe's journey in this movie. I really enjoy it. So let's go to the next plot point. All right, Captain Phasma. I feel like they gave her character like a good send off, but god damn it, like there was a deleted scene where Finn is like talking to Captain Phasma, being like, "You shut down Starkiller shields. What would your troops think of you now?" And then like all the troopers around her start to like turn on her, and then she just kills them all, and then Finn kills her, and she falls down into the reactor. Like I wish that deleted scene was kept in so badly. It would have made her death like way more impactful, but I feel like what they did with her was pretty good. Like they made her death a little more impactful than like the way they did it in the Force Awakens. So I'm glad she came back for that. Finn and Rose are in my opinion, they do a good job with it because like Finn only went to Starkiller Base to save Rey. Like he wasn't in it for the cause, but then like after his side quest with Rose the Canto Bight, we see like him realizing that like the corruption, like how the First Order used corrupt planets to fuel their military. I like Rose as a character. I wish she got more to do in the Rise of Skywalker. Like I hear she did, but the Leia aspect wasn't up to stuff, so she wasn't in that movie nearly as much. I feel like their kiss, in my opinion, could have been like I don't know. I'm like 50-50 on it. I think their kiss was fine. Like it doesn't ruin the movie. Like I don't know. It just doesn't bother me at all. I don't really know why people have an issue with it. Like it's never brought up again, but like it doesn't bother me at all. See, I love the stuff with Finn and Rose in this movie. Like it's really good in my opinion. We see Finn join the cause, becoming a rebel. We see more about the corruption of the First Order, kind of like lore building, which I really like. All right, time to get into the really juicy stuff. Let's talk about Snoke. I feel like a lot of people did not like Snoke in this movie for the sole fact that we didn't find out who he is in this movie. We don't find out who he is until the Rise of Skywalker, where it's revealed that he is a clone created by Palpatine so he can rule in the shadows. And like, it's really hard to miss, but in this scene right here, you can see Sith acolytes in the corner working on something. I'm pretty sure these Sith acolytes are from Exegol, but it's never stated, but it's a theory that I will continue to believe in. I love Kylo Ren and Snoke's relationship. Like, I love how Snoke just drills into Kylo, being like, "You were bested by a girl who never even held a lightsaber," and then just blasts him with Force lightning. And then I love how in the elevator later he just absolutely destroys his helmet. Oh, yeah, this movie's underrated, man. The stuff with Rey and Kylo in this movie is, in my opinion, really good. It's like, I love Rey is searching for that sense of belonging. She tries to find it with Han, but then she tries to find it with Luke, and then Kylo offers her the belonging, like with him. Like he's like, "Hey, rule with me, and we can rule the galaxy together." But Rey does not do that, and it results in the cool throne room scene. Cause like their relationship is just so good. Like I love them being a dyad. Like it kind of starts in this movie, and like whenever they pop up or have a scene together, like you just feel that like tension, and it just feels so cool to watch. Cause like these two actors are really good in my opinion. Like they nailed the casting. Like Rey and Kylo are absolutely amazing in this film. Like anyone that says otherwise is like, I don't know. It's like I don't know. Rey is just not a Mary Sue in my opinion. I don't know why people think that. Like Rey's just, I love Rey's journey. Like she starts out as just a nobody on a desert. She then becomes a Jedi. She has to fight her dark past, defeating the Emperor, becoming a Jedi. Like I don't know, it's just a good story. And like I love Kylo's story. Like I'll talk more about his story in the Rise of Skywalker. But anyway, yeah, like I love Rey just having to come to the fact that maybe her parents were nobody and just kind of let that go. Of course, later in the Rise of Skywalker, when she has that vision, that kind of changes, and she has to solve the mystery and confront that later on. But yeah, Rey and Kylo are just really good in this movie. Alright, now to talk about my favorite character in the movie, Luke Skywalker. I feel like Luke Skywalker was probably what caused the movie to be the most divisive it's ever been. Because basically, what happens is Luke fears Ben is going to fall to the dark side. He basically goes into his hut and basically looks into his mind and sees all of Ben's dark thoughts. And basically, he thinks for a moment about killing him to prevent all of this death and destruction, and he turns on his lightsaber for a brief moment, but then regrets it instantly when Ben sees him and realizes that, yeah, he made a mistake. And I know for a fact something else must have been going on, like maybe Snoke or Palpatine were influencing him, but but I don't know, I just feel like it's a cool scene, like we see, because like Luke has always been a flawed character, and like him being rash in this situation just feels like something he'd do. Like he's still a wise Jedi, but he can still make mistakes, which I like. And by the time he realizes his mistake, it's too late, and we see Ben kill all the younglings and destroy his Jedi temple. But like, god damn, I wish so badly they would make a TV series about this because they did a comic book of it, but I just wanted like a full story about this because it's just so good. Like I just want a whole series about this, man. Is that too much to ask for? It's just too good, man. I love when Luke attempts to burn down the ancient tree with the Jedi text inside, and then he basically is like he can't do it, and then Yoda just burns it for him, being like, "It's time for you to move past a pile of old books," and like failure is the greatest teacher, and like I feel like the scene with Yoda and Luke is just a really beautiful moment, and like it's the best scene in the movie. Like I feel like this scene is where Luke realizes that like okay, I've made mistakes, but it's time I pick myself back up and pass on those mistakes to other students so that they can learn and grow and be better. We are what we grow beyond. That is the true burden of all masters. Like it's just such a great scene. I love the way Luke dies in this movie because it's foreshadowed later on, like when Rey and Kylo are in a scene together, where like Kylo briefly thinks for a second that Rey is force projecting, but it's like, no, this isn't you. The effort would kill you. And then we see Luke force project himself across the galaxy to Crate to buy the Resistance time to escape. And I love it because it mirrors Obi-Wan's death in A New Hope, where he's like buying our heroes time to escape the Death Star before dying. I love how Luke just kind of like dodges it and we never see his footprints on the ground. And like I wish so badly he had his green lightsaber in this scene, but I like the blue one too, so it's not that big of a deal. Like it's still a cool lightsaber fight. Like it's really cool in my opinion. And Luke dies like I love how Mark Hamill is like, so wait, Luke died because he overdosed on the Force. And like it's just really funny because like I love how they're self-aware of that and they just make fun of it. Like I just love it. But like it was foreshadowed later on that like force projecting is like something that takes a toll. And Luke hadn't used the Force in forever, and that was a lot, so he ended up dying because of it, but he died peacefully on the planet looking at the twin suns, or just a sun, before he just disappears and his cape just floats away. Like, I don't know. Luke was very well handled in this movie, and I feel like people don't really understand that. I have 50-50 feelings on how the movie ended, because I feel like it could have ended with, like, our heroes flying off on the Millennium Falcon. Then it cuts back to Batu, where we see the broom kid use the force to grab the broom, and then he looks up into the stars and holds up the broom like a sword. Because, like, I don't know, the more I think about it, I like it because, like, it basically implies that there will never be a Last Jedi, which I really like. So yeah, I wonder if we'll see more of this kid. I highly doubt it, but it'd be cool if we saw more of him. So yeah, that is The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Both extremely underrated films, in my opinion. And in the next episode, in part 2, we will be talking about The Rise of Skywalker, which is my personal favorite of the trilogy, and I have a lot to talk about it. So I can't wait to share my thoughts with that movie with you guys. So in the meantime, may the Force be with you, and I'll see you all in part 2. Bye.